This week
This week.
we're going to be talking about Limbo, specifically the story of Limbo. So if you're watching, there's big spoilers, huge spoilers.
Big spoiler. You're not going to enjoy the game.
Yeah, will ruin everything for you.
So play the game first.
Yeah,
Hit pause and play the game.
Yeah, yes. Hit pause here, not on. Yes,
You're not on the game because you can't progress that way.
First, let's begin with what Limbo is from the outset.
From the outset, the only thing we know for sure about Limbo, the only text associated with Limbo besides menus, is the game's description, which is, unsure of his sister's fate, a boy enters Limbo. That's what you have to work with. That's the seed of the plot. And then you have to try to extrapolate from the events of the game what exactly this plot is supposed to represent, if anything.
Alright, so now I played the game like crazy.
What percent did you get to?
I got to 110.
110 out of what? 111 that you know of?
Yeah. Basically, there was a lot of people on the forums, and everyone was throwing out where the hidden eggs are, and then it became just like an all-out sprint dash to get to it. And the problem is that I have a full-time job, and I can't compete with people that don't. So they literally, I was number 2 on the leaderboard, and now I'm at 110%. I think I'm like number 300.
Well, you're still in the, I'm like 15,000.
Yeah, so whatever. Yeah. That's what, yeah. So I didn't really, I tried doing the 111%, and I died right at the end, and I was like, you know what?
The end is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You need dead-on timing.
Yeah, so I was like, I don't need 111%. I enjoyed the game like crazy. I'll keep on following if there's more, and there wasn't. Playdead Games announced that there was only 111.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I didn't tell you what they did?
No.
Oh, yeah, so on Twitter, Dino,
Patty, he's a friend of ours.
He put a little blog post, and he was like, congratulations to the people that found all 11 eggs. We didn't expect people to find it in days. We were expecting weeks, maybe months. Not days, definitely.
We were psychotic.
Yeah. He said, thank you for being so interested in Limbo. The first 10 people that got 111% contact me, and we'll just recognize you. And then what he did, which was cool, is if you highlighted the text, because it's a black background with white text, but if you highlight all over it, he actually wrote a little letter in black text. So it was a hidden message.
Jeez.
Some people had modded the score that they made themselves 112%. So he said the people that got 112%, aren't going to get anything, obviously, and they're cheating. So I thought that's
good.
Yeah,
well done. Jeez, he's just cryptic all across the place. I don't want to shake this guy's hand. I'd disappear.
So when he's running over this hotel sign, he actually you can move the O, and when you're doing the hidden eggs, you can actually discover that the O in the earlier chapter 12, is actually the same O that's in chapter 24, except now it's much huger.
Gigantic in chapter 24. It's almost unrecognizable as part of the sign.
Yeah, so now we have a clear distinction that his size is actually changing in here. It's not, I guess it could be the world that's getting bigger, but it's a clear distinction that something's happening with his size.
Part of a sign that you reoriented earlier on, you encounter again later, and it's enormous in comparison to you, but in the same orientation you oriented it in a previous chapter.
The narrative of the story is that in the beginning, he wakes up and he only thinks of the first good thing that comes to his head. He goes, this reminds me of the time that I went to the lake, or it's the forest, and I went to the lake and I pushed the boat. He pushes the boat and he gets up in there. The spider is his fear. The spider is large. He's small. He goes on forward, goes past that guy, gets wrapped up in a cocoon, gets the frog dog thing into the train, and he starts the machine. The machine starts the torrential downpour, which is his fault. He started the machine. He put his parents and his sister in the machine, and he caused the torrential downpour. As he's driving in this torrential downpour, he sees the hotel sign. He starts playing on that. He's huge at that point as he's running over the O. Continues going forward. He starts being inside of the car and all the different metal and all that other stuff that's going on. And maybe you have maybe the saw blade is actually cars coming together.
Just like metal against metal. Because that's what you hear anyway.
So later on, towards the end, after that whole thing, he's closer to the hotel sign now, and now he's much smaller, and more. The hotel sign is huge, and he's small again. So this is probably the distance. Maybe this all happened in the span of 30 seconds. So he sees the hotel sign in a distance. As he's going through that, they're getting into a car crash, and now he's getting closer to the hotel sign. As he's doing that, now there's you have gravity. You have a lot of gravity shifting, and this is the car that's like flipping up in the air, right? So he's in the crash and he's flipping all around, and there's danger for him, and he's trying to avoid that. At the end, the very end of the game, you actually shatter through the windshield. So this is what my whole thing is, that the whole story is him thinking of good things, seeing the spider, being afraid, and then realizing that he was in a car crash. Then at the end, you go all the way to your sister, and for me, I don't believe that the sister's in limbo. I don't think that she died. I have a very strong feeling that she is mourning his death at his treehouse that he's always been. Is like a grave. There's definitely something going on where she's putting pedals down. So that's my synopsis.
Now I gotta say, first off, congratulations on digging that deep. You unearthed it. Like, I cannot discount what you have said. Especially there's burning tires. There is certainly a windshield feel to the last moment in the games. I'm going to go with overcoming fears is definitely a factor. There's a lot of traditional fears represented. There's spiders. There's drowning. But I think it's like, I'm also going to go with death. I'm going to say this story starts with death. And Limbo, you have to get through to the other side of Limbo in order to move on to whatever comes after that. And therefore, this entire game is just about him overcoming fears. So he's afraid of spiders. I don't know where bear traps come in, but there's definitely dense symbolism with the brain worms. You're not, they take your control away, and they force you to stay in the darkness. So maybe it's just sort of, I don't know, the controlling hands of society. I'm not a psychologist. And then as you get further into the game, you start dealing with more and more ridiculous things, and now you're going to get electrocuted. And then the last thing you do in the game is take a freedom jump, and not just one. You don't take a leap of faith. You take a leap of faith, and you trust the impossible will happen, and gravity will reverse, and then it will go forward. It'll take a left turn. So, like, that last thing is a moment of faith, and that's what takes you out of Limbo to move on to apparently where your sister already was.
Oh, I can see that.
So maybe that's it. It's simpler in that anything you see could just be a visualization, almost like Silent Hill. It's just a reflection of your fears and insecurities, and then once you overcome them, you can move on. Like apparently your sister already did, because she was really mentally healthy.
I mean, that's the greatest thing about that is that is valid as well.
It's equally valid, people.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, somewhere in Denmark, there's people like, dude, it's just a game.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure that Mads and Dino are relishing every second of this.
Yes.
They're like scouring the internet, just reading everything. Look what this guy's saying. Look at this guy.
Into our minds.
Yeah. So, they definitely, we spoiled a lot of the game. Hopefully, you played it and didn't watch this.
Yeah, we warned you intensely. There should be big letters too, in our way you can't. But yeah.
DecoyChunk wrote an article about what was it? What was the title?
Artistic backlash.
Yeah.
You run a big risk when you make a game like this, because there's essentially three groups of people. I thought there was only two. There's three groups of people. There's people who will resist, this game's artistic, it couldn't possibly be artistic. I know art. And if Microsoft is pushing this game, it cannot be artistic. And then there's the people who are like, well, it's artistic, I want to play it because that's for snobs and, what the heck. And this game managed to be artistic enough for the snobs because it's Danish, it's monochromatic, and it's a puzzle platformer. That's just off the wall. That cannot possibly be mainstream. So it's artistic enough for them. And you play a little boy who can be decapitated by a bear trap and then impaled by a giant spider. So it's definitely, it's got things to attract the sort of person who relishes headshots and teabagging. But there's a third type of person who resents it being called art because that implies that other games aren't art. They don't like the distinction being drawn between this and any other, structurally well-made platformer.
Yeah. All right, last I looked was at 160,000.
It deserved to do well. And people complain. There are those who may complain. The only complaint people have had is it was too short. And those are the people who didn't go through and try to get 110%.
Yeah.
Because it becomes a very long game if you try to do that. Especially if you don't look at the handy tutorials we've created.
So yeah, that's it. This week we just wanted to touch on Limbo.
Yep.
We thought it was awesome. You should definitely try it out.
Try it, absolutely.
Yeah, highly recommended. That was this week. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.